forest didn't care who they were. It swallowed sound, erased footprints, and closed in tighter with every desperate step they took. Branches tore at their clothes as they ran, lungs burning, hearts pounding with the knowledge that stopping meant being caught. Somewhere behind them, boots cracked against twigs, radios hissed, and flashlights cut through the darkness like hunting eyes. They didn't know how much longer they could keep moving. They only knew they were running out of time. It had started hours earlier, long before fear took over, a deal gone wrong. Information was sold to the wrong people. Suddenly, they weren't witnesses anymore. They were liabilities. Every road was blocked, every phone useless, every familiar place compromised. The city pushed them out, and the wilderness took them in. But the men hunting them were trained, relentless, and patient. This wasn't a chase meant to end quickly. It was meant to end permanently. The group stumbled through a narrow ravine, mud slick under their feet. One of them fell, barely catching himself before sliding down the embankment. Panic spread fast in the dark. They couldn't afford injuries, they couldn't afford noise. Yet fear has a way of making both unavoidable. When the ravine opened into a clearing, they froze. A small cabin sat ahead, barely visible through the trees, smoke drifting faintly from a chimney. They had no idea who lived there. Soldier, hunter, hermit, or someone far worse. But behind them, the sounds were getting closer. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. They reached the cabin just as the forest erupted with shouts. Inside, the cabin was simple, sparse, clean, the kind of place built by someone who didn't need comfort to feel at home. And standing near the back wall was a man who didn't ask questions right away. His posture alone told them everything they needed to know. Controlled, still, alert. This was someone who had survived places far more dangerous than the forest outside. Beside him stood a dog. Not a pet. Not a companion meant for comfort. This was a working dog. Muscles coiled, eyes sharp, ears tuned to sounds no one else could hear. The dog moved before the man did, stepping between the newcomers and the door, reading their fear, their breath, their urgency. The man was a former Navy SEAL. He hadn't worn the uniform in years, but nothing about him had softened. Retirement hadn't taken away instinct. It had refined it. He listened without interruption as they explained what little they could, voices shaking, words tumbling over each other. He didn't promise safety. He didn't offer comfort. He only glanced toward the tree line, then down at the dog. The pursuers reached the clearing minutes later. They surrounded the cabin quickly, confident now. They believed they had cornered their prey. What they didn't realize was that the dog had already mapped them. Wind direction, foot placement, breathing patterns. Every movement outside was translated instantly into information. The dog moved silently, guiding the SEAL to a hidden crawl space beneath the cabin, then to a narrow escape route carved into the hillside long before this night ever came. This place wasn't chosen by accident. It was designed to disappear. As the group slipped away through the trees, the dog stayed behind, not to fight blindly, to delay. When the cabin door was kicked in, the dog erupted into controlled chaos, appearing, vanishing, drawing attention, forcing hesitation. The pursuers fired wildly, nerves fraying, shadows playing tricks on their eyes. Every second they spent reacting to the dog was a second the others gained. Then the forest answered. The SEAL reappeared from the flank, moving with precision born from years of warfare. He didn't chase. He disrupted, traps triggered, paths collapsed, the lights failed, confusion spread. The pursuers, once coordinated, now moved like strangers in enemy territory. The dog returned to the SEAL's side without command. Mission complete. By the time authorities arrived, alerted by a signal sent quietly from deep within the forest, the hunters were gone, scattered, their plan dismantled. The group that had arrived desperate and hunted stood exhausted, but alive, watching dawn break through the trees. They never fully understood how close they had come to dying, or how much of their survival rested on a dog that never barked unnecessarily, never panicked, never hesitated. The SEAL didn't stay. He never did. He pointed them toward safety, then disappeared back into the forest with the dog at his side. Some protectors aren't meant to be thanked. They're meant to remain unseen. Because sometimes when everything is lost and the world turns hostile, survival doesn't come from strength alone. It comes from finding someone and something who knows how to move through chaos without becoming part of it.